Obviously, gigantic game coming up for you guys on Sunday. 2 top 5 teams in Louisville and Nebraska. First and foremost, how does it feel for a game like this to get the spotlight it deserves?
I mean, it's pretty special, especially being in Louisville, because you know that if it was in Nebraska, it for sure would get the spotlight, but for the spotlight to be on us at home is really exciting and just shows the growth of the game across the country, not just in certain pockets, just across the entire country. That volleyball is a big deal. People want to watch it, and people are paying attention to fun and exciting matchups.
I can only imagine what the coach in you is game planning for going into this one, but I'm just as curious as how the girl who grew up on a farm in Nebraska, who played and won a national championship at Nebraska, how does it feel going into this match?
I'm just excited and just thankful to have the opportunity. And when we went back to Nebraska a few years ago, that was really special too. Just, playing against your alma mater and a program that means so much to you. It means a lot. And then to be able to do that with people you love and a program that now is, you feel like it's like I feel like it's my baby.
Guys on 3, 1, 2, 3.
And to be able to go head to head with 2 really meaningful programs and sports that have taught me a lot in both areas. It feels like there's not a lot of pressure. It's just, this is an exciting opportunity and we're going to take advantage of the moment.
You mentioned how you made this program into your baby. Was there a moment back when you were still a player at Nebraska where something clicked in your mind that said, I need to coach one day?
Not really a moment. John Cook, the coach at Nebraska, mentioned my senior year, like, you should get into coaching. And I always had that in the back of my head that I wanted to try it. And it's funny because when I got my first coaching job, I told myself, well, I'm going to go for it. I'll see how I like it. But I also knew I would probably never get out of coaching. So I knew once I got in, I'd be in it for a long time. But it was really just the switch of positions and, deciding that I wanted to give back to the sport and take it as far as I could.
That relationship that you have with Coach Cook, playing for him, learning from him pushing you in the direction maybe even of coaching, what has it been like throughout these past couple of years and now leading up to this game?
It's funny because we talk a lot about our teams and, as, he's definitely a mentor, but as colleagues and try to help each other work through things or talk about struggles. And now we're actually playing each other in a huge, huge match that has, tournament implications. But like I said, it just feels like just meaningful in the way that you're just proud of the moment and proud of the situation. And of course we both want to win. But it just means a lot to the sport.
Going back again to your playing days, there was a couple matches in there that stood out to me, the ones that were against Louisville. What do you remember about those matches and where maybe the program was at the time?
I don't remember that much, to be honest. I know we came here and we played in the convention center, so I'm glad that now the NCAA tournament can be at the Yum Center. So I remember that year, though, looking ahead to the Elite Eight game, and Louisville was just like a rock we had to get out of the way. But then when we played them in the regular season, they had this hitter who's an All-American, a 2-year All-American here, who was a little bit injured, and she played libero, and she was like 6'5", and I remember being like, that's so random that they put her at libero, but she was such a good player. And then I remember just John always talking about how Louisville was a team that if they showed up, they could beat anybody because they always had some really, really impressive players.
I mean, you certainly have instilled that attitude into the program in your years here coaching. Kind of flash forwarding to the next time that you guys did end up playing when you were a coach in 2021, to not only win that way, but to do it there, just how special was that?
It was incredible, and coaches were all a little teary-eyed, more than the players, because I think we knew how much it meant in that moment to beat Nebraska, to sweep them at home, which is like never happens. We might be the last team to sweep them at home. I don't even know, but it's extremely rare. And so we knew at that moment just how special that team was. So it was amazing to beat Nebraska and to do it in that fashion, but it also just showed us, wow, this is going to be a special year, and it really turned out to be one of the best years ever.
You still let Coach Cook hear about that one?
No, I was surprised after the game. I thought he was going to give me a brush by handshake, and he actually gave me a hug and said, "Your team was awesome tonight." And I was like, "Oh, wow." So that was that also meant a lot. That like he had a little proud moment, but I'm sure inside he was fuming at the way they lost.
The pedestal that Louisville volleyball is now on with some of the big hitters in this sport, the culture that you've been able to instill at this program, does that happen without the way it happened for you as a player at Nebraska under Coach Cook?
You know, I don't really know if it's because of my Nebraska roots or anything like that, but I think to bring a program, you know, to the top and to stay there, you really have to have some experience at a program like that and understand how hard it is every single day and how important little things are, but also what it means to, you know, just focus on the things that matter. That's what I think we've done a great job here. And I'm not sure if I hadn't been at Nebraska as a coach in particular, that I might not understand that to the fullest. So that certainly shaped how I came into this job and how I wanted to build this program.
Again, the magnitude of this matchup, being at the Yum Center, 2 top 5 teams, 2 very well-established programs on national television. It seems like with the direction that this sport has gone in just the past couple of years, these big spectacle games are becoming a lot more normal. Where do you feel that this sport continues to trend, where the big is becoming way more common?
Yeah, it's trending up, you know. It's like there's no other way to say it. It's trending up, and, you know, it's growing at a really fast rate. You know, just 2 years ago, I feel like our game at Kentucky, so exactly 2 years ago, was the first ever first ever regular season match on ESPN main network. And now you have them once a week on ESPN main network. And now we're getting NBC, and then this game being the first one on ABC. I mean, again, it's growing, it's trending up, but it's doing it at a fast rate. So it's crazy to see the amount from last year to this year. And I think the Final Four helps. Just the product of the Final Four the last couple of years has been incredible, and then that permeates into the rest of the season.
I'm sure even as a player, there were times back when it's like, oh, this sport continues to grow. How can it get any bigger? And it just seems to keep on getting bigger. What is maybe the next big thing with this sport?
You know, one thing would be, you know, I think TV games, but primetime TV games, not just on the Sundays or Tuesday, Wednesday nights when there's not other sports on. And another thing that would really show the growth is like ticket sales. So right now, to get these arenas full, you're giving away tickets or $5 tickets or packages where you have a men's basketball where people are paying $50 a ticket and football where you're paying $50 a ticket. So when women's sports can generate revenue, I think that's when you'll really see the tip of the iceberg. And it's trending that way. There's programs all over the country that did not ticket for the last 10 years, and now they are. So slowly but surely we're getting there. But that would be a huge accomplishment if more than one women's team in the NCAA could generate revenue.
Well, again, slowly but surely the sport continues to grow and grow. Thankfully, the national championship won't be at the convention center. It's going to be down at the Yum Center this year. To have teams like Wisconsin, like Creighton, like Nebraska come in and play against them in that type of venue, knowing what it's going to host this December, just how big of a victory could this be? Not just against a top 5 team, but against a team you very well could be competing for a national championship with.
Yeah, it's hard to say like this win would mean more than any other win that we're going to have this year. But I think beating a top 5 team in the arena that will be hosting the national championship, it just kind of sets the stage for the type of level of play, for what we can accomplish, for how hard we have to work, for what our fans can expect. So I think it just sets the stage, and it would really give us so much confidence that we can do it again and we could be back there in December.